All right, we're going to move on to the Western Conference now. I'll start us off here with the Dallas Mavericks. So they are projected to win 42 and a half games, which is a 59% win percentage. Last year, they had 43 games with a 57% win percentage. So Vegas is predicting a little bit of an improvement here. This one, look, I hate to start off with one that I'm not too sure of, but I'm a bit unsure with this one because obviously you've got the injury to Kristaps Porzingis at the start of the season, which is making me feel like that's not going to happen. But then again, Luka's another year older. We're projecting him to be maybe the MVP of the league here. The additions of Josh Richardson, I think, is for this team a good thing. I'm slightly on the over on this one, but very hesitant. What have you got?
Yeah, I was on the fence. I've actually gone under just with the Kristaps kind of thing. But it's like it's one of those things. The more you think about it, I mean, Kristaps did miss a fair few games of rest last season.
Yeah,
I guess he probably will miss games of rest, and he'll miss the opener as
he
well. So
will. Yeah,
on top of that, I think Josh Richardson is an upgrade at the small forward position because I need that defensive stopper on the wing, which they never really had. And you can hit the open shot, which is what you need just to build around Luka, because Luka creates so much space and gives everyone some, spot on passes just to hit the three. So it's a tough one. I'm slightly under, but I think Vegas have nailed this one. I think they will be around that 42, 43 wins.
yeah, yeah. So we're split on this one, but I'm probably saying keep away.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Denver Nuggets. What have you got for Denver?
So Denver, it's a very good team the last couple of seasons, haven't they? I mean, 65% win percentage in the 2019, 63% win percentage last season. And this season, they're being projected at about a 62% win percentage. So pretty much very similar from last season.
Pretty similar, yeah.
Yes, they lost Jeremy Grant, who was a good defensive player. But on the other hand, you got Michael Porter Jr., who's he didn't really play much of the regular season at all. He came into the bubble pretty hot, but before that, he was the first half of the season, he really didn't contribute at all. So I'm anticipating him to hopefully help out with some wins. And I think that they will be over. Only just, but I think that they can be more of that 2019 kind of 54 win team. And I'm also hoping that we get to see Jamal. The one thing about greatness in players is when you actually can do it on a consistent nightly basis, which in the regular season we haven't seen him be able to do. But in the playoffs, we finally did see him perform on a nightly basis where he's putting up like 27 a night. So
yeah,
I'm not just saying he's going to put up 27 a night, but I'm really hoping that he kind of averages, if he can get close to like a 25-point game a night kind of dude, I think they're going to ball out. That mixed with Jokic, who's a top 10 player in the league. I think there is a ceiling there. I'm pretty good on going above.
Yeah, I'm with you on the over. I'm pretty confident with these guys. I think they've got some good continuity. They've got some good chemistry. They sort of know their identity. I think the steps forward from Jokic and Jamal Murray are going to be evident this year. And like I'm expecting a huge jump from Michael Porter Jr. I think he overall will be a better player than Jeremy Grant and can pretty much put up close to nearly, I would say 20 points a game, 18 points a game sort of level. Whether he's off the bench or starting, it doesn't really matter for me. And they've also got a healthy Will Barton back, hopefully. I mean, if he can stay healthy, that's a small bump in their favor. So I think that they are going to be over, and I'm pretty happy with that one. I just think that they're easily one of the top three teams in the West. So I can lock that away pretty much. Let's move on to one of the difficult teams, I would say, the Golden State Warriors. They're obviously a very different team to last year. You've got a healthy Steph Curry coming back. Draymond Green's going to start carrying again. They've got the number 2 pick in James Wiseman and a different cast. So Wiggins, who didn't play much there last year, and also Kelly Oubre Jr. joins the team. So their line's at 38.5, which is a 53% win percentage, which on a normal year would be about 44 wins. Last year, obviously, they had that terrible year and only won 23%. And the year before that, when they had Kevin Durant, they're at 69%. So it's really all over the place. It's hard to use previous data to project this team. And for that reason, I'm really not confident. It's hard to go against Steph Curry, so I've gone the over. But yeah, just not 100% sure how quickly James Wiseman's going to become accustomed to this team. But I'm a tentative over on these guys. What are your thoughts?
Yep, I'm over as well. I'm a bit tentative. I just kind of think to myself that if Steph Curry is healthy, So he just needs a good, healthy season. I think with Draymond and Kelly and with Andrew Wiggins, he just creates so much space for them. I think that Draymond will be motivated again this season.
Mm.
I can see it being above. I can see like the ceiling being on that high, like a low 40 win team in this reduced season. But if you're looking at 82 games, I could see them kind of being like that 48 win kind of
Yeah.
team. And right now, Vegas has them about that 44 win team in the 82 games. So I'm feeling up. But there's a bit of luck and chance involved with that pick.
Speaking of luck and chance, we'll move on to the Houston Rockets. I've just got this highlighted in red. Stay away. Don't know what's happening with James Harden. Who knows what's going on? Look, let's go through their line. They've got 35.5 wins projected, which is a fair decrease. So, look, if you think James Harden's staying on this team for the entire year, you could take the over. I've said the under, but basically just highlighting the red, saying stay away. I just don't know enough about this team. I don't know what Harden's doing. I think he's going to leave at some point. I think at some point he gets traded. I have no idea what kind of pieces they get back. Like if they get a Ben Simmons, they could probably beat this line. But if they get a bunch of young guys and draft picks and things like that, they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. So, yeah, it's hard to tell at this stage just because there's so many unknowns. What are your thoughts? Are you putting money on this team?
I actually might just spin the dice.
Spicy. Let's do it.
It's a weird one just because it seems like Vegas knows something that we don't know.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because the last few seasons, James Harden, he balls out. Like that man is way better than, I mean, right now they're being projected at below 500. Yeah. And James Harden on any team will get you above 500 wins.
Yeah.
So, that's not even talking about, the Christian Wood addition is pretty good. John Wall's looking really good in the preseason. You kind of got Boogie Cousins, who, I mean, I'm not super in love with, but if he can play like 20 minutes and just be kind of competitive and do some good things out there, this team screams more than 500. So yes, on one end, it's like, just if you look at the team, you'd have to say, oh, they're going to go above.
As currently constructed, they're better than this, but
yeah, 100%. But it seems like, I mean, you love a bit of a conspiracy theory, but it seems like Vegas may have been tipped on this one, which makes me think maybe I should just go the under, and maybe they're just going to try and get rid of James, and they're just going to completely punt and try and get some assets, get some young guys. But yeah, it is a weird one.
Remind me, do they have their pick this year? Does Houston have their own pick, or is that going to OKC?
I'm not too sure about this year. I know they've only got like kind of 2 picks in the next like 5 years.
Maybe it might be the next year. But look, if I would have to actually research that. If they had their pick, they would have a much more incentive to sort of tank and get a good pick, because it's supposed to be a really good draft class. If they don't have their pick, and it sounds like they're trying to keep James Harden at least for maybe until the deadline or something like that. So, look, to me, it's just to stay away. I have no idea what's happening with this team. I don't know. I mean, maybe Vegas knows something that I don't, but for me, the average punter, I'm probably just going to stay away. I think there's other easier bets. But if you're feeling adventurous, maybe give this one a go. It could be an easy one. It could be, but who knows?
We could look back on this one and just be like, oh, that was so obvious.
Obvious, yeah. But at the time, yeah, it's a bit murky. So let's move on to the LA teams. We're going to start with the Clippers, who are projected at 47.5 wins on a regular season. That would be about 54 wins. I've got the over on these guys. I think that Paul George is healthy this year. I know last year he came off the dual shoulder surgeries to begin the season and wasn't ready. I don't think he started the season and was eased into it once he came back. So I think from that standpoint alone, they get better. And controversial opinion, I think Serge Ibaka is better than Montrezl Harrell. So I think that they have actually improved in that respect. I think he's a better defensive player, spaces the floor a lot more. They obviously didn't get the point guard that they wanted, but I still think that they have slightly improved, and Vegas actually has dropped them down a little bit. So I'm pretty confident to go over. Another year, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard have got a bit more chemistry, so I'm pretty happy to go over on this one.
Yeah, there's some good takes there. I think maybe the Ibaka Montrez kind of comparison. I think Trez actually probably helps you out a bit more in terms of a regular season. But then in the playoffs, Ibaka is a lot more valuable because he can actually be like a center who defends the rim. So I'm not
That's
too
a
sure
good
if that
point.
actually will boost them a fair bit in the regular season side of things. But I think the Paul George aspect is definitely worth noting. I think he will have a comeback season. I drafted him in my fantasy team, so I'm banking that he does.
Yeah.
54 wins is what's looking at me. That's obviously the 82 game comparison.
Yeah.
51, I don't know. It's going to be pretty close. I think they're going to be right around that. I'm not confident in this pick whatsoever. I've actually said they're going to go under.
Oh yeah.
But you kind of talked me into it. I got Paul George in my team, but yeah, I'm kind of staying away from this one. I think Vegas have nailed it. 47.5 in that reduced season. It's I think they're going to be right hovering around that kind of region.
Obviously, we do have to take into account that Kawhi Leonard will be resting games, or at least if he's going off previous years, he will be resting those back-to-backs, and there are going to be more back-to-backs this year. So that is another thing to sort of keep in mind. If this team was completely healthy, I'd smash the over, but just because there's restings and things like that, maybe some chemistry issues. They've got a new coach, obviously, is another factor to bring into the play. So whether or not you think he's a better coach, who knows? So there is a few things to consider with this team. I am pretty. I'll put some money on these guys, and I think I will take the over. But I can understand the staying away aspect. Let's move on to the other LA team. What have you got for the Lakers, Cal?
The Lakers. All right. So Vegas is saying they're going to have a bit of a drop in the regular season. So last season, they're about a 73% win. And then this season, they're being projected at 67%. So that's about a 5.5% drop, which is interesting. I wouldn't say they really got worse. I guess there's some more competitive teams out in the East. And maybe I think Vegas is all in all saying it's going to be a bit more of a competitive season.
I think they're taking into account. I think they're taking into account the rest and the condensed season. I think a bit here with LeBron maybe potentially taking some games off. Which, if we look at his track record, he hasn't done really in the past. So I don't know about you, but I'm pretty happy with the over on this one.
Yeah. I was pretty hesitant. I've actually gone to an over. I went back and forth in this one though. I'm not completely sold on it, but
yeah.
Look, it could go either way. I'm not
confident. Look, as a Celtics fan, I hated to say this, but I think they had one of the best off seasons in the league. Like I think they definitely got better. They got younger, which I think is a really important thing. They traded out Rondo for Schroeder. They've got in like players like Montrezl Harrell, who's obviously younger than JaVale McGee. So I think the youth movement is really big for them. If you believe Jermaine, Kyle Kuzma is going to be the most improved player. LeBron James seems to agree with that take. So I think Anthony Davis is still in the prime of his career. And I think he's, in my opinion, this season will be the most valuable player on that team and will win Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's going to play most nights. So I'm pretty happy with the over here. I think they're going to be the number one team in the West and could even contend for that number one spot overall, just depending on if LeBron is rested on back-to-backs and things like that. But he hasn't done it in the past. So maybe they reduce his minutes and that's the management they take. But I don't think he'll rest as much as people may think.
Yeah, I think that is a good point. And the more I think about it, I think you're actually talking me into it. You have LeBron and AD, they've had one full season under their belt now and a championship. So that chemistry should be as high as it can be.
I don't think they'll be. I don't think they're going to be. There's going to be no championship hangover here. I don't think. I mean, yes, you've had the shorter off season, but it's LeBron. He's playing for his legacy. Anthony Davis is playing for his legacy. I think Anthony Davis views himself as like a top 5 power forward in all time. So I think he wants to cement that by putting on a dominant display and could even chase for that MVP. So I think they've got plenty to play for. Yeah. Let's move on to the Memphis Grizzlies. Oh, did you want to say more on the Lakers?
I was just going to say one thing. We know what LeBron's chasing. He's chasing that Kareem scoring title.
Oh, of course.
He wants to get points. He doesn't want to rest too many games because he has to put up points to beat Kareem.
You got to play games to get those points. That's a good point. Let's move on to the Grizzlies. They are projected at 31.5 wins, which in a normal season would be about 36 wins at a 43% win percentage. That's a down from last year, which was 46.5%. And look, last year I was surprised by the Grizzlies. I did not expect them to be this good. And obviously you've got the Jaren Jackson Jr. injury to start the season. I don't necessarily think that they've improved outside of the fact that they're going to be 1 year older as a young team and more experience, which is something. I'm not too confident, but I'm taking the under on these guys mostly because of that Jaren Jackson Jr. injury. I think that's a bit underrated. I think he's a vital part of their team. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going under 2. I think they kind of surprised a lot of people last season. Ja Morant is an absolute stud.
Yeah,
That's a big
love Ja.
reason why. Um, do I think he's going to take a huge leap forward? I think he will take a leap forward in the second year.
He was pretty good
But
last year.
he
Like,
played, that's the thing. He played so
yeah,
well last season. So how much
yeah.
better can he really get?
I mean, maybe a lot. Who knows? Like, he could make a Luka kind of level jump, and if that's right, then this is obviously they're going to be much better. But I'm not projecting that for Ja this year.
Yeah, me neither. I've gone under 2.
Yeah.
Not overly confident, but I've gone under.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Let's move on to the Minnesota Timberwolves. A bit of a basket case, these guys. A couple of years ago, they were looking like they were coming up, and then last year, obviously, well, one big thing was Carney Towns struggle with injuries, which he had never done before in his career. He'd always been that kind of Iron Man playing lots of games. So their projection as 29.5 wins, which is basically a 41% win percentage. In a normal season, that'd be about 33.5 wins. So um, I'm taking the over on this one. Again, it feels like the Western Conference. I'm not as confident, but I'm just over. I think D'Angelo Russell, a healthy cat. Um, I know it's a big jump from last year, but those health concerns of Carlton Towns were significant. I think he missed like half the season that year. So I think that's enough to just get me over, but I'm probably more likely just going to stay away.
Yeah, I'm staying away from this one. I initially had it as under. I've actually changed it to over. So Vegas has it at that 29.5, which is about a 34 win team, which would be still worse than the 2019 team, which pretty much was really just Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah, you had Jimmy Butler for the first like month or so on that
Mm.
team. And
That wasn't
I
last year,
think
was
that
it? Oh
that was the
yeah,
29, I like 2018-19
yeah, it
season,
was.
that
Yeah,
one back there.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm not overly confident. I think D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns will be not on the same level, obviously, as Kyrie and KD, but in terms of like some games they will click, and some games that actually will be quite hard to beat them. I think they can kind of blow teams out. You got Anthony Edwards, who might, have some bright sparks in the season. He might go off for like a 30-point game here and there and get the W. And then you got Ricky Rubio, the vet, off the bench, kind of running the point guard. So they have good pieces there that I've talked myself into them going over.
There's not a lot
Um,
of defense on that team though. There's really not a lot of defense.
that's the thing, and that's why I'm saying like some of those games where Cat and D'Lo just
Yeah,
kind of go off with the pick and roll, and the chemistry
yeah.
should be pretty high with them. I'm hoping
Outscore teams.
they'll outscore teams. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, fair enough. So I think we're a bit split on that one. So I think the consensus there is not confident, stay away. This next one I am confident in, and that is the. Oh, sorry, no, I'm skipping one. I was looking ahead. We'll talk about the New Orleans Pelicans. What have you got for the Pelicans this year?
This one, I'm going under. I'm going
Yep.
under in the Pelicans. They're being projected to have they're about a 42% win percentage last season, and they're being projected about a 48% win percentage. A lot of that would be Zion being healthy,
Yeah. Yeah.
understandable. But on the other hand, they lost Drew Holiday, who is, if not the best perimeter defender, but one of the best perimeter defenders
Yeah.
in the league.
Yeah.
On top of a defense that already sucked in general. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think they will be a little bit under. Right. It's 34.5 is Vegas, which projects to about a 39 win team in a normal
Mm.
season. So pretty much a little bit below that 500. I think they will be just below that 500. So Vegas have done a pretty good job, but I'm probably going to say they're going to be a little bit under, maybe 32,
I'm
33 wins.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm under as well. Very slight under. I think Vegas basically thinks that Zion being healthy gets them an extra 6 games. But I think potentially, yeah, that loss of Drew Holiday is a big one. I also think that Lonzo Ball could take a step up. So I don't think it's far off what they will actually do. It's one that I'm not super confident in, but I'm in agreement that I would take the under if I was to bet on these guys. Okay, this was the one I was confident in. Oklahoma City. They are going to suck, Cal. They don't have many good players, and I think that they're in the hunt for the number one pick this year. I think between them, the Knicks, and Detroit, those are your 3 worst teams in the league. Vegas has them picked at 21.5 wins, which is a 29% win percentage. I think they're worse than that. There's no one on this team. I don't think Al Horford, if he's playing well, stays on this team. The only way he does stay in the team is if he's not playing well, because then he has no trade value. And in that case, it doesn't help their wins. So there's just no depth on this team. Outside of Shea and Al Horford, there's no one who would start on any other roster in this team. So I don't think they're going to make 20 wins.
Yeah, I agree. I think you said it perfectly. I am very faithful that this team is going to tank the shit out of this season. They've already got 30 draft picks, and they're going to make sure that they get the best prospects they can get in the draft. They've lost all of their starters aside from Shea, who's a young guy anyway, and they just really need to develop him. Al Horford's too old really to contribute. They're going to go a very deep roster. I'm sure they're going to try a lot of different lineups. They're going to do some interesting things that they're not going to go for, they're not going for the playoffs. That's not in their goals right now. It's just development, get a draft pick. So I'm very confident on the under on this one as well.
I'm confident there too. That I'm going to call that one of my locks of the Western Conference. Let's move on to the bright future Suns, the Phoenix Suns. What have you got for them?
I'm feeling good about this one too. I'm feeling pretty good. Right now, Vegas has it at 37.5, which is about a 43 win team in a normal 82 game series. So I think that they could outperform that. I think they'll be like a 40. If I looked at that roster with Chris Paul there, with the development, I think they're going to take a step forward. You got Ayton, who's actually, he missed, the first, 25 games of the season because of that drug violation. So assuming they're all healthy, the one thing here is Chris Paul has to remain healthy for them to get this, but I think they should be they should get to that 40 wins for this season, which would be about that 45, 46 wins in a normal season. So I'm pretty confident on the above.
I'm with you. I'm very confident with the over. If you look at Oklahoma City, last year they won 44 games with Chris Paul on their team. If you compare the Oklahoma City roster with this Phoenix Suns roster, I think it's very clear that this Suns roster on paper is better than the OKC roster. So if they can win 44 wins, I think these Suns are close to pushing that as well. You've obviously got another superstar in Devin Booker. You've got DeAndre Ayton, who's going to improve again this year and will thrive under Chris Paul. I like Monty Williams as a coach, so I think that they're going to be pushing up. On our predictions on the last pod, I had them being the 6th seed in the West, so I think they're going to do really well. And this is my other lock on the Western Conference, hitting the over. All right, let's move on to the Portland Trailblazers at 39.5 wins at 54%. Vegas thinks they're going to improve from last year. I tend to agree. How much are they going to improve? Are they worth an extra 5 wins over last year? Tougher to say. I'm still taking the over on these guys. I think Nurkic is a huge addition. I think he's the second best player on this team. I think he's better than CJ McCollum. And obviously he only played 8 games last year. So I think substituting him over Whiteside is a huge win. I think I like their moves with Covington coming into this side. So I'm still going to take the over. Not super confident, but not too hesitant either. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly the same. I'm going to go over. Not super confident about it, but I think this team will reflect a lot more of that 2019 team that got 53 wins. So a big win percentage there. I don't think they'll be quite as good, but they will be definitely better than last season because they were so injury plagued last season. So I think this season, I think they'll have a bit of a boost. They should be above the 39.5 where they're being projected. I reckon they'd be like a high 40 win team in a normal season. So that 39.5 does correlate to about a 45 win team. I think that could be about that 47, 48 wins. So I'm going to go over, but not overly confident.
Yeah, fair enough. What have you got for Sacramento?
All right, Sacramento. It was a bit of a tricky one because they've done so. I guess they've kind of overperformed the last couple seasons, but this season, I guess we do have Bagley coming back. Darren Fox has been balling out the past couple years. I'm not too sure how much better he can get. He really has to kind of develop maybe a 3-point shot.
Yeah.
He's still lethal in the open court. Like he's so deadly there. But I think the West has gotten better. The East has gotten better. Vegas has projected a bit of a drop. So last season they were 43% win, and then this season they're being projected at about a 38% win percentage. So Vegas is thinking there's about a 5% drop here. I tend to agree. So I think Vegas has done a pretty good job on this one. I'm still going to go under because I just don't like their roster really. I don't really like that coach either. I don't think they're going to take a big step forward. Yeah, I'm going to go under, but not too confident on this one.
Yeah, look, the Sacramento Kings, like always, they're just a bit of a mess. Who could really predict? Look, I like De'Aaron Fox. I like him a lot. He's a great player. Marvin Bagley, less keen on, but even if he stays healthy, it's got to be a boost. I'm worried that they think that he's a power forward, and really, I think he should be playing as a center. So I think that the front court can get pretty crowded there in terms of there's not much space in between him, Holmes, and Whiteside. So, and when you've got a point guard like De'Aaron Fox, I think that's a problem. I think that there's the court can shrink a fair bit. Yes, you got Buddy Hield, but even he's got his issues. Like, last year he was hating it over there in Sacramento. So, I mean, yes, he looks like he's starting this year. They're going to pump his minutes. Hopefully they play a bit faster. Look, I've said under as well, but I'm not confident because Vegas has taken into account a bit of a drop off from last year. And there's really not too much difference outside of Bogdanovic leaving. But I'm just not confident with this team. I've never really liked what they've done, and so I'm going to take the under, but basically I'm just going to stay away. Let's move on to the Spurs. Go Spurs, go. They are projected at 29.5 wins, which is a 41% win percentage, which is down 4% from last year. Obviously, they are somewhat of an older roster with DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge being their two best players. You've got some young guys in White who looks like he will miss the start of the season, and Murray, who I'm really keen on. I like DeJounte Murray. They've got the best coach we've ever seen in Greg Popovich, who's always a factor. Look, you can never count them out. I'm down on them. I think this is a good line. I'm going to just take the over on the Spurs just because I think they are good enough to at least pull together 30 wins.
Well, I'm going over too. I'm feeling good about this one. I'm going to put some money on it.
All
I'm
right.
going to back Popovich. I'm going to back this roster. I think they will do some different things this season. They'll play a bit more LaMarcus at the center, play DeRozan at the 4 with like a lot more guards out there. And I think they still will defensively have a good lineup with those like Derek White, DeJounte Murray.
It's a good defensive backcourt.
It is. So I like what I see out of them. I think Greg, like he's always going to be around that 45 to 50% wins at a minimum. I think he can just get, if he's got like some reasonable players, which he does have, he can maintain a reasonable win percentage. So I'm going to back him. I'm going to go up. I mean, if you project that 29.5 that Vegas has them, it's about a 34 win team. I think Greg Popovich can always get at least a high 30s, like 38, 39 win team in a normal season. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to go above.
I'm a little worried that they maybe this is the year they trade DeRozan or probably LaMarcus Aldridge doesn't have too much value, but probably DeRozan is the one that I'm maybe building in a bit of a trade there. Again, I'm not sure what they're going to get back. The Spurs have not traditionally been a tanking team, although last time they had an injury to their star player. They tanked pretty hard, and that worked out for them, so they may be incentivized to do the same thing. But yeah, hard to tell. I'm less confident than you are, but I agree that I am taking the over. All right.
I will say that DeRozan does have he's got a big fat contract. So if he's getting traded, they're going to get a big contract back. So I don't know if they're going to get into James Harden sweepstakes, but
nah, I don't think so. I don't see them. I don't see them picking up James Harden. The last team on our list today, Cal, the Utah Jazz. What do we got going on there, mate?
All right, Utah Jazz, 41.5 is what Vegas is saying, which is about a 47 win team. I think Vegas has done pretty well on this one. I'm going to go under though. I think once again the West is going better, East is going better. They probably still will be around that, but I think a little bit under. So I think this team will be around that, like a 46 win team in a normal season. So probably about 40 wins in this reduced one. So I'm going to go under. They haven't really added any pieces. Their bench sucks. In a regular season, bench does matter. Jordan Clarkson has to go off and drop 30 every game for them to be a good player, a good team. And we know he's locking in that 6 minute of the year. But who knows? I'm going under on the Utah Jazz.
In complete agreement with you. This is my third lock for the Western Conference. I think that this team is just too shallow, and especially in a year where coronavirus is around, it's a condensed season. I think bench depth is going to be more important than ever. And if you look at this team, like their roster, after you get past, look, they've got a decent Bojan, they've got Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Yeah, Jordan Clarkson's is okay off the bench, but outside of that, it gets pretty scary. like Royce O'Neal's your starting power forward. Like, what are we doing here? I don't know. Like, I'm building at a drop for them. I had them as scraping into the playoffs in the 8th seed, and I think that they will be a sub 40 win team, sort of like a high 30s team. So that would be under the Vegas line of 41.5. Let's just go back over the teams that you're most confident on to finish this out, Cal. Who are you putting in as your locks of the over under?
There'll be a few there which I'm very confident in. I think Oklahoma City is screaming at me.
Yep.
I'd have to say I'm feeling pretty good about the Denver Nuggets. I'd be very keen to lock them in.
Yep.
I'm pretty keen on, I think the Hawks are pretty good as well. Charlotte are looking pretty good.
Yep.
So those are some teams. Any more you want to mention?
I want to mention the Washington Wizards on the over.
Yep,
I'm
definitely.
really confident there. And those unders in the Detroit Pistons, I'm pretty keen to they're going to suck this year. So
yeah,
those are two really ones that I'm pretty happy to throw a fair bit of coin on. I'm pretty confident there. So those would be my locks. Cool. Well, let's wrap it up there, man. Let's get over. We're going over to your place to watch some basketball now. So we'll call it there. Thanks for listening, guys. And if you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so that when we upload a video, you'll get notified and you'll be able to check that video out straight away. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us a rating and let your mates know about us. All right, let's get to it. I'll catch you later. Bye.